Nobody expected Andrew Tate to face off against Judge Barrett in the Supreme Court like this. Barrett was ready to use all her power to silence him. But the documents Tate pulled from his briefcase would completely change the rules of the game. You'll be shocked when you see what happens at the end of this video. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel to watch all the details of this extraordinary legal confrontation. Andrew Tate was known worldwide as a controversial influencer. However, nobody knew that over the past 5 years he had been secretly studying law through Oxford University's distance learning program, working day and night. Behind his kickboxing career and social media phenomenon identity, he was hiding a legal genius who conducted in-depth studies on constitutional law. During his legal troubles in Romania, while preparing his own defense, he discovered his passion for law. Instead of sleeping at night, he analyzed case law and read articles on constitutional interpretations. He specialized particularly in freedom of speech and fair trial rights. Tate had realized that the legal system wasn't just about hiring expensive lawyers, it was about understanding the fundamental principles that govern society. His controversial past had taught him that the law could be both a weapon and a shield, depending on how well you understood it. Judge Amy Coney Barrett was one of the youngest and most influential members of the United States Supreme Court. After graduating from Notre Dame Law School, she rose quickly through the ranks and was appointed to the Supreme Court in 2020. She was known for her textualist approach and sharp legal intellect. Barrett was particularly disturbed by major media figures trying to use court proceedings as political platforms. She was very sensitive about protecting justice and court dignity. Her reputation for dismantling unprepared attorneys with precision questioning had made her both feared and respected in legal circles. Barrett had authored several landmark opinions on constitutional law, particularly regarding the Takings Clause and due process protections. Her scholarly approach to legal interpretation had earned her recognition as one of the court's most formidable intellectual forces. Tate's extradition case to the United States had unexpectedly reached the Supreme Court. Claims of constitutional procedural violations and freedom of speech violations in the extradition process had brought the case to the court's agenda. Legal circles found this situation extraordinary. An influencer defending himself in the Supreme Court was a rare occurrence in American legal history. The media interpreted this as a publicity stunt, while nobody knew about Tate's real legal capacity. The case had attracted international attention, with legal scholars debating whether social media personalities should be afforded the same constitutional protections as traditional media figures. The Supreme Court's magnificent chamber was the stage for a historic moment. Between marble columns and majestic symbols of justice, Andrew Tate sat calmly. His black suit and confident posture caught everyone's attention around him. Judge Barrett, while shuffling through files, kept her eyes on Tate. She wondered what he was doing in this court. She thought this man was just a social media phenomenon, making controversial posts. The court clerk announced the beginning of the Tate v. United States case. The chamber fell into complete silence. Legal observers packed the gallery, expecting to witness either a spectacular failure or an unprecedented moment in legal history. Most assumed it would be the former. Judge Barrett began speaking in a cold voice. "Mr. Tate, I've reviewed your file. You want to exercise your right to self-representation. However, this court deals with serious legal matters. This isn't social media." The condescension in Barrett's tone was felt by everyone in the chamber. She thought Tate couldn't grasp this seriousness. Tate stood up calmly. "Your Honor, Judge Barrett, I present my respects to this court. I'm here to discuss serious constitutional matters." "Constitutional matters?" Barrett asked with a mocking smile. "Do you know what the Constitution is? Or did you just learn it from your TikTok videos?" The question was designed to expose what Barrett perceived as Tate's superficial understanding of law. She expected him to stumble over basic constitutional principles. Tate's expression didn't change in response to these words. He carefully pulled out a file from his briefcase. This movement caught Barrett's attention. "Your Honor," Tate spoke in a calm but powerful voice. "Your opinion in the 2019 Nick v. Township of Scott decision regarding the Fifth Amendment's Takings Clause is directly relevant to today's case. Barrett's eyebrows furrowed. This was a decision she had written, and it was a technical subject that even many lawyers didn't know the details of. Tate continued, "In that decision, you stated constitutional violations are complete when they occur. In my situation, the due process violations in the extradition process fall exactly under this principle." Barrett was stunned. This wasn't the surface-level celebrity advocacy she had anticipated. This was someone who had clearly studied her judicial opinions in detail. Barrett, trying to hide her surprise, asked, "How do you know the details of this decision?" "Your Honor, over the past 5 years, I've received legal education through Oxford University's distance learning program. I specialized particularly in constitutional law." Tate presented a copy of his diploma. A slight murmur rose in the courtroom. Nobody expected this situation.
Tate pulled out more documents from his folder. "I also examined the principle you wrote in your Timms v. Indiana decision. Excessive fines clause applies to the states. The extradition demand in my case is actually a type of excessive fine." Barrett's demeanor shifted from condescension to genuine interest. She was beginning to realize that this wasn't going to be the easy dismantling she had expected. Barrett had now taken the situation completely seriously. "Continue, Mr. Tate. I'm listening to your argument." "Your Honor, the procedural errors in my case in Romania don't meet any of the 3 criteria in the Matthews v. Eldridge test. In cases where my First Amendment rights are violated, strict scrutiny should be applied." Tate, looking at his notes, continued, "Since Brandenburg v. Ohio, speech content-based regulation can only be limited if it creates imminent lawless action. My posts don't meet this criterion." Barrett was listening with growing interest. "So what do you think about the extradition procedure?" She was impressed by Tate's command of legal precedent. This wasn't someone who had memorized a few legal terms. This was someone who understood the interconnected nature of constitutional jurisprudence. "Your Honor, as stated in the 1999 Breard v. Green decision, although that was before your time on the court, due process must be protected in extradition procedures as well." Tate took another file from his desk. In the Soering v. United Kingdom decision, the European Court of Human Rights used the concept of death row phenomenon. Similarly, with a media trial created, a fair trial is impossible. Barrett was now completely impressed. "This analysis is very detailed. Did you really prepare it yourself?" "Yes, Your Honor. Law isn't just a tool for me to win my own case. It has become my passion for understanding and defending justice." Tate then made a point that would resonate deeply with Barrett's judicial philosophy. "The beauty of our constitutional system is that it protects everyone equally, regardless of their background or public perception. That's what makes America exceptional." Barrett, looking at the other justices, asked, "Mr. Tate, what is your recommendation?" "Your Honors, it would be logical to apply the younger abstention doctrine and wait for the completion of state court proceedings. At the same time, a First Amendment strict scrutiny analysis should be conducted." Barrett was now fully engaged with the substance of Tate's argument rather than her initial assumptions about his credentials. Judge Barrett, after a long silence, spoke. "Mr. Tate, frankly, I didn't expect this level of legal analysis from you. Your arguments are very strong, and it's clear you're well-versed in constitutional jurisprudence." Barrett's words had a shock effect in the courtroom. One of America's toughest judges was acknowledging an influencer as a legal genius. "Especially your takings clause analysis and due process evaluation are in perfect harmony with this court's recent decisions. This performance could even impress law school professors." The atmosphere in the courtroom had completely transformed. What had begun as expected humiliation had turned into a serious constitutional debate. Tate responded with humility. "Your Honor, serving justice is all of our duty. Whatever my past may be, everyone has an equal right to defense before the law." "The court," Barrett announced, "states that it will seriously consider Mr. Tate's constitutional arguments and will examine his request to halt the extradition process." Several justices nodded in agreement.
Even those who had initially been skeptical of allowing Tate to represent himself were now paying serious attention to his legal reasoning. Barrett, at the end of the session, turned to Tate and said, "Mr. Tate, you taught me an important lesson today. You reminded me that we shouldn't judge people with prejudices. Your legal preparation is truly commendable." Tate, as he left the courtroom, noticed that the people who had looked at him with condescending glances now watched him with respect. He had entered the courtroom as an influencer and was leaving as a legal genius. This extraordinary legal confrontation was not only Tate's personal victory, but also a victory for the principle of equality before the law. It would go down in history as a day when prejudices were shattered and real knowledge and preparation triumphed. The legal community would spend months analyzing Tate's constitutional arguments. Several law schools would invite him to speak, and his case would be studied as an example of how preparation and genuine legal knowledge could triumph over preconceptions. Thank you for watching all the details of this magnificent legal drama. If this video inspired you, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. Share your thoughts in the comments about how prejudices can be shattered. See you in our next video with other surprising stories about the triumph of justice.